Okay, day 4. Cut the right side head off. The bores look okay, pistons look fine. Near as I can tell, the head looks good too, with the exception of there's some scoring in the crankshaft journals. Maybe not. You know what? I think those are oil grooves because they're symmetrical. These are worn down. Anyway, fortunately, the head gasket is showing damage. It's an unusual head gasket too. It's in layers. There's 3 layers of gasket there. Anyway, number 4 cylinder here on the top side. It's broken right there and right there where those water jackets are at. And then on the flip side, where the compression, the fire ring is at, it's broke there. So, yeah, definitely a bum head gasket. I had to pull the camshaft off because the problem with that tool is it covers these 2 bolts. And you can see this is the boss where the tool goes. So I don't know. I'd say maybe the tool is just for doing the timing set. When you pull the head off, you're supposed to pull the cam out. But how would you get the tension off the cam without putting the tool on it? I don't know. I'll have to check the manual for the proper procedure before I tackle the left head. But this is enough for today. Time to clean up. More to come. Okay, day 6 on working on the head gaskets on the F150. I did look in the manual, and the manual says to use this tool and just leave the cam in place when you pull the head off. But as you can see, the tool is right over the holes for those 2 head bolts. The manual doesn't mention that, and it's not as simple as using a swivel on it, because whatever these head bolts were torqued at, it was a lot. I did put a swivel on there, but by the time you get done torquing on it, it's just binding it up and cocking it over. I was wondering if it would compromise the tool too much if I was to put a half moon over that, so that you'd be able to keep the extension a little straighter on it. Another way to remove them would be before you put the tool on and pull the timing chains off, would be just to crack those 2 loose. Then the swivel could pull them off once you have this in place, or you could take them out and put it in place. But that's not going to help you when it's time to go back together. You're not going to be able to get your torque on there when you're putting it back in. So, something to think about. Yeah, the mating surfaces on this camshaft got scored some. I'll try to polish that up a little bit before I clean everything up and put it back together. Over here I have that burned up clutch part, the hub, and then I have the old compressor off my Crown Vic, and it appears that the hub for the clutch is identical, and you can see my dampeners are all in good shape. And the internal splines are the same, because I can get the nasty one to fit on here. Clutch sizes. Yeah, that's where it meant on the other one. So the clutch size is right, so this will work. Question is, the bearing surfaces on the compressor or on this pulley itself damaged, or if that's just the bearing that's flopping around. Because if it's just the bearing, I may be able to just put a new bearing in it, or possibly rob the one off the Crown Vic. I can't take the whole clutch off the Crown Vic compressor because it's only a 6 groove and this is an 8. So I do need to reuse this if possible. And I want to do this in frame because the AC system's still charged on this thing. So hopefully I can just fix that clutch and put a long belt on there and the air conditioning will be fixed. Okay, now for head number 2. I'll bring you back. Got head number 2 off. That side really wasn't all that bad. Dipstick was a little bit of a problem, but I just pulled it out of the oil pan or the block, whatever it is on this one. Because I pulled the heads off with the exhaust manifolds intact. I won't reinstall it that way, but it gave me a chance to pull them off and handle any studs that I may break. Fortunately, none did break, but anyway, I did have to take the camshaft off of this other side though so I could get to all those bolts. So I don't know how they expect you to do that with that tool in place. And I'm gonna have to think it over on how I want to reassemble it. But I'll come up with something. So both the heads are off. Got the exhaust manifolds off of them without issue. More evidence that this thing has been into. I don't think this is stock Ford. There's no gasket there, there's just sealant. I could be wrong. I don't know what Ford did, but I know you can buy a gasket for these. Looks like that one was leaking. I'm going to see if I can take these down to a machine shop and have them check the surface on it, see if they need resurfacing, and then just give them a good cleaning. Considering how much work's involved in pulling these out, I really don't want to get it in there and have a leak of any kind. So I got the pulley off of this, and the bearing came out in several pieces. So there's the inner sleeve and the ball bearings dropped out on the ground, and then the outer sleeve is still in the pulley. So I can take care of that, but I don't know if you can see this in the camera, but the insulation on this winding, it's totally burnt. I don't know how they managed to cook that compressor as bad as they did. So I'm gonna need to get the new magnet for it. Looks like everything else I got's gonna work out, but I'm gonna have to replace that. And the Crown Vic one won't work because it's quite a bit smaller. So here's the inner race on that pulley, the bearing. There's the outer race. So it lost all its ball bearings. This is the Crown Vic compressor, and this electromagnet's in good shape, but it is way smaller than the F150 one. So it looks like out of all these parts, the only thing that's going to be interchangeable is this clutch hub from the Crown Vic to the F150, which I definitely need. But I'll have to scare up a bearing and a new electromagnet. So I'm probably done for today. There's not a whole lot more I'm going to do until I can get the heads in and get them looked at. I am going to put a the new oil pump on here. They're pretty easy to get to on these. That's it up front there. So I may do that while I'm waiting, or I may wait until I make sure the heads are okay before I do any more work on the engine. So I believe that's going to wrap this up for now. This will be part 2. Keep in touch. I'll have an update hopefully pretty soon, and we'll hopefully start getting it back together then too. Thanks for watching.